It's your soul brother in righteousness, B.C.D.I. Vet Root. It's only one of a kind that can give you that line in the great divine. Welcome, welcome. As we get down, do you know what red is? Red is retired, extremely dangerous. I repeat, reds are retired and extremely dangerous. There are people sick of people's stuff. They sick and tired. We're on Facebook, YouTube. We gave them the warning that we would be coming on explaining what we didn't want to happen of what the government wants so they can bring the militia to you. Let's get this received word and messages on the foot ground. Please excuse any background noise. I'm not available to control. Let's get to it.
Exposing the situation for what it is. FEMA being hunted. We're about to address those issues. You know, it was just the last video, like last week, I told you, I got a message in from somebody on the channel that said they knew a Marine that said the anger against FEMA is going to cause people to start going out and hunting them. Well, we've looked into different areas of this story, and now it's came out on the mainstream narrative that the National Guard report of armed militia out hunting FEMA prompts the relocation of North Carolina hurricane recovery officials. Now, we're going to clear up some of this story. Now, from what we're seeing here, this story was just this one man reportedly that was charged with the threat to shoot FEMA workers. This is what just came out. They tried to say that, it was a huge convoy of people. We're going to get into what's actually happening, and then we're going to get into how the State Guard of Florida, somebody who's working with that specifically, says something as well. We showed you posts from this guy as well, who is telling them that if you keep blocking us, at the bottom, you see exactly what he says. You put the words together right there, and that was put out in that post. And he actually exposed the FEMA head of Homeland Security as being an Israel agent and stuff like that. So again, moving further into the story, we're going to let you see on the ground what this Army Ranger said that they were being classified as. So now we can see this story was pulled in so they can use what people were saying on social media to then target the people going out there just to help. And I'm going to play this video clip and let you hear it. The Secret Service guy, former Secret Service guy, recorded this Army Ranger. So a former Army Ranger.
I've seen one FEMA agent since I've been here. He approached the front gate of our facility, and his request was, get this, cooperate with local government. Hey, you guys need to cooperate. We're like, what are you talking about? We have, like, look at all the law enforcement here. Look at all the firefighters here.
Yeah.
We've had state senators come out here and land. We've had congressmen come out here and land. We've had Fox News here. We've had several other news media here to really capture what we're doing.
Yeah. Then you've got people like me who I'm just a guy with a phone trying to get the word out because the mainstream media is not doing their job, and so you got a donkey like me trying to do it.
We've been reported to the authorities for domestic terrorism.
Yeah,
we're a bunch of special operation veterans. It doesn't get any more American than what we're doing.
Yeah,
we're here to help the people.
So they make the good guys the bad guys, and the bad guys want to steal what the good guys is doing and say that the government helped everybody when you really doing that Hawaii stuff. You doing that New York stuff, that Louisiana, Texas stuff. Like you not the one causing it, but you want to be the hero. You can't have cake and pie too, fat kid.
So there was no convoy truck. They classified the veterans that's going out and helping as domestic terrorists. Do you understand what they're doing here? And moving further into the story, they said, oh, FEMA had to stand down because of these security threats. What security threats? It was one guy. Let's read a story about the one guy, and let's read about this really quick. Effective immediately, disaster-wise cease inspections today. Return to your hotels. An alert from Vanguard, which works with BlackRock, which works with Rothschilds. Anyway, inspection services. Read on Saturday, FEMA received news that Title 10 active military unit deployed to North Carolina came across some trucks of militia units, when in fact it came out to be that it was just one guy. Here's the report from the sheriff. The sheriff's office actually exposed this, thank goodness. The man suspected of making a threat was identified as William Parsons, 44, Bostick, North Carolina. He was arrested and charged with going armed to terror the public. The sheriff office said Parsons was armed with a handgun and rifle when he was arrested, released with a $10,000 bond. The initial report stated there was a truckload of militia that was involved. Sheriff office said, however, after further investigation, it determined Parsons acted alone. There were no truckloads of militia going to Lake Lure. So we got to ask the question, is this guy some type of operative who was trying to set off this Civil War-like response? Because that's what it seems like it is. And there was some other reports as far as after the town hall meetings and stuff. We got the military too, a guy who's active military. We got his video and how pissed they were. I asked somebody who lived on the ground out there, have you heard anything about militias and stuff like that being out? Here is what was said. Hi, I want to give you a little more info on some things happening in the mountains. I lived north Asheville for 37 years. Many of my family and friends still live here. Storms happen in the mountains. We were all used to some washed roads and things like that, but none of this magnitude. My sister is heavily involved in coordinating supplies being put on the helicopters in her area. She sees firsthand what's going on and keeps us updated. Everybody I have talked to said they only seen one FEMA vehicle in a large area. The one near my sister's area is unmarked. It's in the back of a parking lot. Two people sitting in lawn chairs. No signs or anything saying who they are and what they're there for. It takes us back to, we just talked about the U.S. Gov authorizing shooting American citizens on soil. We just talked about that. It was a directive. This makes me think that this whole response, since they failed in North Carolina, and they've seen so many veterans responding, they got pretty much scared. And we're going to show you another special operations person too. But let's hold that off, because let's go to Florida, where I look at this post here. Our guy, Simplify USA, he says, old tired Marine with one fight left. Now I'm hearing these reports coming out. I need anybody from Florida to confirm this. It says all Florida militia are now activated. They are charged with protection of those involved with saving American lives and keeping the government interference to a minimum. This is not North Carolina, they say. And then he goes as far as saying this next. Florida militia have now been given orders to shoot to kill anybody interfering with people, helping people during this Hurricane Milton. That does include FEMA and FEMA helicopters. The word is, this is not North Carolina. Now, I have not confirmed what's happening in North Carolina, and I want to hear from people on the ground. If you're from a state militia there, is this true? And this guy says, those of you attempting to contact me about militia in your states, please wait until we get through this in Florida. You can DM after we clear the wreckage. That's when they were going through and clearing up everything on the ground. So anybody from Florida, what's going on there? We've confirmed that no, they're not hunting FEMA in North Carolina. It's just veterans out there helping people, and they're declaring them as domestic terrorists. The sheriffs came out and exposed that so that it doesn't go to that Civil War level. I believe that's what they want. But I'm just let you hear how pissed the military was. This guy, he actually was there. He actually got told to stand down. He tells the story, and it's because obviously they have all these orders they have to go through. The militias doesn't have to go through all that. So this is a little bit different. So check out what he says. Yes, he's expressing himself, a little bit of cussing in there, just letting you know. Heads up.
I'm watching the game.
See, man, us little guys got to report the real coverage, and sometimes we can't be there. We're dependent on allegedly things until we've been proven true.
Figure out how to talk about this without getting pissed. Our orders were rescinded. We're not going. We were replaced by the Michigan Army National Guard. With due respect to those guys, and I'm sure they're great and they're capable, somebody explain to me and make it make sense how it's beneficial to the taxpayer to bring a group down 1,000 miles from Michigan instead of using somebody else that's 3 hours away, maybe in their own backyard. The insult to injury was not just the fact that you spun up an entire battalion and then told them to stand down less than 24 hours later. No, the insult to injury was when, I'm telling y'all, I gotta watch it because I'm gonna end up saying some shit that's gonna get me in trouble. The insult to injury was that somebody's retarded ass PAO decided it was a great idea 4 hours after they rescinded orders to start posting on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, these posts, videos with this overwhelming music in the background, building this dramatic. Get the fuck out of here. You tried to make it look like one of our units was tip of the spear, answering the call, responding to the storm. Bitch, please. They were there on mission for less than 4 days. And the majority of that time was trying to get to the fight and get your equipment there so that it could be offloaded during a photo op that I'm still not certain how PAO just happened to get there right at the same time that one of the D5s was getting there to be unchained off the fucking trailer. It sat there. They were there for like maybe 3 days after that, and then they had to get pulled. Why was it so important to look like you were doing something when you're really not fucking doing something?
So there's a story from the guy who was in the military who basically says they had a photo op saying that they set up everything. One guy looked like a savior, and actually it wasn't any soldiers that came there in the video photo op. So it gets very strange. There are a lot of people saying the Florida Post probably isn't real because Governor DeSantis, I did hear him say, he was like, yeah, I'm the sheriff in town, and there ain't going to be no FEMA or nothing like that. So the Post here, people are saying may not be true. And again, we need to confirm this because on social media, people will grab stuff and just run with it. And I never do that. I look into most of these things we talk about. What we do know, we've seen this letter. Yes, they're telling people, you got to get out. And in North Carolina, you got to understand it's starting to get cold now. You could see on the guy's breath where he like when he was talking, it's starting to get cold. So that's why the veterans stepped in and they were saying, like, look, we don't have much time left. And some people still not getting help. So what we're going to do is we're going to play the video of the people still not getting help. And hopefully the veterans could see this and then that can get to them. So these people in these specific areas of North Carolina get the help. Then we're going to play this video clip of this Air Force Special Operations member who retired. So first, let's hear this person right here.
I'll have another update from my husband. It is currently 1:58 on Friday, October the 11th. Last night, they came in contact with 60 families who had zero help since day one. 60 families without any help. All flights in the area of Pole Creek Baptist Church have been grounded. They are trying to make communication difficult in the areas of Chimney Rock and Bat Cave. Please share this. The media is not covering this. Evil things are happening to our neighbors in Appalachia. Get the word out there. This is so serious. Lives are at risk.
Listen, I'm really so thankful that we got internet like we did, because in 2005, when Katrina hit us, and I'm going to get to the special operations guy who's out there, and he's saying, look, the weather is changing, and it's going to be a lot of people die if we don't hurry up and do this. So the fact that FEMA wanted to hold that off is really life detrimental. But during 2005, we didn't have any of that help.
The word of the Most High do say, pray your flight is not in the winter.
When I was in Mississippi, you know, and I told you how the FEMA trailers were so toxic. They made me faint, fall out, black out. I did mixed martial arts, never been knocked out in there, but I got knocked out by a FEMA trailer because formaldehyde was in there. Then after that, we moved to some, some mobile homes later, which was slightly better, but we still felt our health feeling very bad. This is literally a photo right here of me and my dad after Katrina, and the mobile home right there, not the trailer. They moved us to a mobile home down Highway 67, and we went through some devastating moments because FEMA was not responding. It took them a while. We didn't have social media like this. We couldn't get messages out like this. So to be a part of this effort right now, you don't understand. This is a deep thing for me because we went through this trauma. Houses in the street, bodies in different areas, like no response, people helping each other. We helped each other, but we had no social media 2005. So
now Facebook, y'all know I was no lie. Now you know I was there. Well, my military credentials is in my records.
But the fact that we have this now, we're able to do more, and it's very critical. And I don't know if they're trying to hit them with other things over there, because it was 9 earthquakes in South Carolina, reportedly in 24 hours. I seen just one yesterday, other people looking into more. I'm going to get you into this video of this special operations guy, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more information.
Yeah, so the big thing was we started to have an increase of state helicopters coming into this direction, primarily because the old HLZ that they had established, FEMA took over and basically took charge of it, and then wouldn't allow anything but their assets to fly in there, to include state patrol. They were denied. So as a result, our HLZ just got a little bigger, and everybody else comes here now. We're an open system here. We'll take any helicopter. Just don't come empty. Try to bring stuff. Frequencies 122.75. We're open until sundown.
Why do you think they close it? Shut it down.
I really don't understand, other than the fact that maybe they do want control for, maybe they're going to bring stuff in. I don't want to get into big, like, they're just doing this on purpose type of stuff. But honestly, at some point, you're just kind of, you're really just acting out. Like, you have to be working hard to be this bad.
Then what are you guys doing here? If you're describe for me again what this is.
So this right here is my ops board. All right, this is what they would call in a tower flight.
Rocka, war ready at Daytona.
Key. What their mission is, where that mission is taking place, when that mission is going to happen.
All volunteer, right?
What's that?
All volunteer.
All volunteer, and we're not taking money from anybody except donations. No tax money. Every bit of water. We take a truck in every probably 2 minutes. And they're just dumping off water. We need warm weather gear. It's going to start getting rainy and cold up in here, and people need protection.
And over that ridge, you're suggesting is what?
On the other side of that ridge is a total disaster zone. It is a combat zone with friendly people who just need help, man. They got nothing. Whole towns are wiped away. People are living in schools. They're living in, sometimes half destructed houses, living out of their garages. It is not the environment you want to be in come this winter time. We need to act fast and help people rebuild soon. All right, you can't be waiting 4 or 5 months.
Hi, I'm Tom Grieve, former state.
As you can see, it's getting worse out here in these streets.
You see, when we went through this scenario during Hurricane Katrina, the best part of society is seeing us come together in the most darkest times. I got to experience that at a very young age. So when we all came together during the hurricane after the cataclysm and devastation, it was this peaking energy, this rising energy that no matter what happens, it doesn't matter about government. It doesn't matter about the people who don't care, but it's about the people who stand next to you in those moments. And it was a lot of people. And I think that's what we fail to realize. They're trying to put us against each other in so many ways. They're trying to create narratives to start to cause a mass chaos event happen. But do you understand how connected we are here? Because when that cataclysm happened in the Mississippi area, we were connected. And those people went out of their way to even say, hey, here's a bottle of water to get it to you, while they were living in a halfway open house that's like a roof off of it and wet couches we were sleeping on. And let me tell you what happens also in those moments. The parasitic illnesses rise. So I want to give this message to people wherever you're at, whether it's Florida, whether it's North Carolina, whether you're any part of the world and you go through this. And this is just a message in general, because you can go through this at any given time. You don't know. The parasitic illness rises up because that was what was reported to be rising during that time. So the best thing you could do is to start detoxing yourself, because you're walking through muddy water a lot. You're walking, you're sleeping on couches that's wet. These parasites obviously are lingering within the water, and that's when people's health start to decline. So you want to deal with that ahead of time. Because we went off, and a nurse, it was only like this one nurse who told us, she was like, yeah, it's been a rise in parasitic illness. And a lot of people have been coming to, the doctors, and they've been getting stuff to expel parasites. You understand, parasites are literally taking all your nutrients, your resources out of your body. And so somebody says Fema are the parasites. Yeah, they are. But at the end of the day, you got to look at it from a top-down level. The general, like when you go in to apply for the HUD housing and the agents, because like we did, we had to go after all that devastation. We then went to go apply. My mom did, into this big facility, and then they get you into areas later in the future or whatever. And some of it doesn't even go through. But the general worker is not the problem. It's the top-down people that's running stuff at the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, like top levels, that's really corrupt. So it's really this scenario right now where they said they came out of the building or whatever, and this was a story. Reports are coming out of Appalachian of town hall meetings that it was indeed a land grab. People are being told they can no longer own their homes. They have to vacate immediately. No more help going by civilians. And they said something about them being arrested. In the letter, yeah, they gave them 30 days. I just showed you that 30 days, and you evacuate immediately, and the government takes over your property. Now, this didn't happen to us in Katrina. So this is the land grab scenario that everybody was talking about. And this should be fought against. Because they're doing stuff that enemies of the state, the enemies of the state is us, they say, but the enemies of the state is actually them. From the top down, this is what they plan to do. And they said, remember the guy, he came out years ago, he said they're planning to devastate us and impoverish us by hurricanes and stuff like that. And he came from the government, from the Congress, and he said the New World Order was planning to do this. And it's exactly what they've been planning out in the last couple of years. So they've been failing, though. This year, I think, is their biggest fail. Somebody says Katrina was an oil grab. Katrina was like a weather weapon as well, because when it was coming to land, and the thing is, I think the difference now is that people have been at large using social media, and we can all come together and we can start praying against these things. My woman included, she was a part of the people helping out with the process, just saying like, look, we need to pray. We need to make sure we can stop these storms. And I do believe that, because when Katrina came, it was like 2, and then next thing you know, it was a 3. We didn't leave, and next thing you know, all of a sudden it was a 5. And we're like, oh shoot, so we get 6 feet of water in there. My dad have to go up, literally break a vent inside of the roof. So he broke a vent because we had no attic. And we go up in the attic. He puts the dog up there. He puts the cat up there. The smartest thing he did, because I was just so young then. I'm like, the water's coming. Like, I'm pointing down the street. Like, oh my God, the water's coming. Like, I'm knocking on the door, waking him up. My dad said he was in a dream and he seen me telling him to get up. And it's the same thing that was playing out in reality. So after that, we got in the attic. The smartest thing he said was bring the windows up a little bit. So, because if you don't just crack the windows a little bit during the storm, all the pressure can collapse the foundation. So the fact that he said, just raise the windows up a little bit. So we rose up all the windows like that. The water eventually start pouring in, coming in and stuff like that. This was after we had already done it though. Go on the roof. We had to sit up there in the roof for about, what was it? It was about like probably 5 to 6 hours praying, just praying. We had a hole in the roof. A hole was open in the roof so we could see the water. And it got so close up to where we was at. But then while we were praying, it got to a point to where it just stopped and it just sat there. And we had plans. My mom was like, look, I need to get a rope. We get this rope. We tie each other together and we stay together. And the current was so strong that if we was to get in that water, we would have probably been screwed. But it was a tree next to us, and that was just our plan. And I was terrified because I was much younger then. Never told this story, by the way, 100%. I keep just telling you surface levels of it. So we hear people screaming. We hear, dogs barking. Actually, a dog survived it. It was the person left their dog, and it was floating in the water the whole time, doggy paddling. And then we ended up taking that dog in and start, taking care of it after that. Because a lot of people break during those moments, but at the same time, a lot of people start to really understand how crazy it is. But a lot of people lost their lives. It was crazy. To hear people screaming, going down a stream of water, and there's nothing you can do is a terrifying thing. And we were just grateful that we could survive that. But it taught us a lot. Having no power. Imagine having no power. And the best thing you can get was the MREs was the military ready meals, whatever, and they heat up. The best thing was a hot meal. Right now, you're in a house somewhere, you're getting food that's warm. You got a plate of food. You're hanging with your family. The best thing to get was warm food. Warm food in cold water it was the greatest thing ever, because we take everything for granted right now. We just sit there with everything we got, and we're just oh, whatever. You're so ungrateful about everything. But when you go through that moment, and the streets was so muddy, it was really slippery. And it was some houses that had Mexicans' bodies piled up, 5 of them in there. I didn't go and see it. My brother was telling us about it. What my brother did during the storm, though, this was during Katrina, he actually went out and helped people. He found he was with some people. He got a boat, and the dude literally said that they just had some sticks, and they were just paddling through, and they went to go and help people and save them from scenarios while the water was still up. So he went through the streets. The untold stories is literally right now happening that you'll never know. Them going through the streets, him and my cousin going to go and help people out on the boat, and they just went. And so that's what I'm trying to tell you. We're really so powerful when we understand how we can work together through these events. And I don't want this new generation to think that it's the opposite. So the new generation might think oh, well, we need to just kind of be for ourselves. That's how everything collapsed. But you see North Carolina, you see Florida, and the story right now I'm telling you from us, this is very important for us to move forward with a tyrannical government. Because the biggest way we're able to move forward is through these stories that we learn that people go through this devastation, seeing how they come together. They may have pretended that we're isolated, but in fact, we all feel the same. We're all maybe we're isolated somewhere within, but then it's somebody that's still willing to help you out there. Lots of people. So that spirit is still alive. That tells you that in turn, we can make it through these dark times, no matter what they try to push on us. Long as we remember that, long as we continue to push to that. And the craziest things through these devastations is just reuniting with your family. Remember how much you love them. Remember how much they're there for you, or, you know, because like we had to go and look for.
There you have it, folks. Prayer. We've been hearing that lately is the key to answering deliverance of souls in a funky situation right on out without no money and without a side effect. Thank you for coming to HSE-TV Grand Solar Uprising. We made another Shabbat weekend, didn't we not? Glory be to the Most High. Sin's been atoned for. Now we come to the Feast of the Tabs. Enjoy.